Brought to you by the Topoco Lodge. Now, right now, they are on their winter break. They are getting the place ready. That's their entire footprint. That's the lodge, the cabins, the suites, all of the landscape around there. It's a beautiful setting. They're getting that ready for you for 2021. So visit their Facebook page, visit them online. You can go ahead and plan your stay at the Topoco Lodge right now. Open for business probably they usually open up around Valentine's Day. So mid-February, they start opening that thing up. Topoco.com to learn more. All right. And to help us learn more about the football situation, we have brought in from WNML, Josh Ward. Thank you for joining us.
Hey, John.
Right down there from The Athletic, David Oven. David, thank you for joining us.
Appreciate it.
All right. Let's start. Jeremy Pruitt is still employed. It's January 3rd, and your coach is still there. He has reportedly spoken to some candidates about filling some slots on his coaching staff, but no moves have been made there. He's not gotten a clear go-ahead, at least not publicly, in terms of you will be back. We all know that Philip Fulmer wants him back as of last time he said anything publicly. Where it stands, we'll see. We did learn this week that Tennessee's internal investigation, which is so ongoing and so important to the conversation, we basically talked about last week and said a lot of this probably going to come down to that investigation. Well, we found out that Tennessee has brought in Michael Glazier and his group to help with the situation, to help run this investigation. Glazier has a firm, and he initially was in business with Mike Slive years ago, but he's had a firm that he's used for years that they come in to help schools deal with NCAA issues. And if you go back and you just do a Michael Glazier search, you'll find that there are plenty of coaches who feel Michael Glazier does a nice job of cleaning everything up for the school and tying it in a nice, neat bow right around the coach's neck. Mike Grotfried years ago made a comment about it. Bob Huggins has made a comment about it, saying this is a guy that's just headhunting coaches. He was part of Tennessee's team here when Bruce Pearl went through the NCAA. And if you remember the story that Bruce Pearl felt that he was talking to his own attorney, only to find out later that it's Tennessee's attorney. That was the Glazier group. So your thoughts on that outside counsel being brought into this, does that change the way you look at the Pruitt situation at all? Anyone?
It doesn't change how I look at it, in that I already thought that Tennessee was taking it seriously, and we've discussed here on the show about all the different rumors you could find. Maybe it's a big deal, maybe it's not a big deal, and maybe there won't be too much that comes of it, but that Tennessee's taking it seriously. I would say to some of those coaches, well, if you didn't do anything wrong, then you wouldn't have as much to worry about with somebody coming in to do the audit, if that's what it is, of what's gone on. Of course, they would have their own response to that. But for the university, I think it's a matter of making sure you're buttoned up, and if it does end up coming back to a coach, well, then it ends up coming back to a coach.
Well, and that's the other thing. There's no guarantee that he ties this neatly around the head coach.
Right.
They could decide, let's put it around an assistant coach or two and shove them overboard. I just thought it was interesting they brought in somebody. You look at it, it's like, well, it's an internal investigation with a little outside help from a group that's been known to do this. Thoughts, Jimmy?
It just makes me wonder if there's a bigger issue that they have. Why are you bringing somebody else in? If you go back to when Doug Dickey was athletic director at Tennessee, he kind of ran every investigation. Yeah. He didn't bring in Glazier, he didn't bring in Slive, he didn't bring in anybody else. He ran it, and Tennessee very seldom got hit hard. They got hit sometimes, but not really that hard. But when you're bringing in outside counsel, then that makes me wonder if there's a little bit more to this situation that they have found, and so they feel like they need some outside help. That's speculation on my part. I don't know if that's accurate, but that's what it makes me wonder.
Yeah, I mean, I think from the start, sort of the word from Tennessee and Jeremy Pruitt was, well, this is just routine. Mm-hmm. You know, we do this all the time. And it's like players don't get pulled out of meetings, right before games routinely. You don't go hire an outside lawyer to come in routinely. What does that mean? I think it's still too early to say, but I think it's safe to say that the sort of company line of, well, we're just making sure, it's just routine, that's nonsense. That's not what's going on here.
You don't routinely have a star player sit out.
Yeah, exactly. Right. What's the outcome? I mean, a gigantic TBD, but the idea that it's routine just doesn't jive with the actual facts right now.
Yeah, I mean, if you do a search on Michael Glazier, you'll find the words cleaner, fixer. Those typically pop up. And in other words, that would be some real due diligence if you're just saying we're bringing him in just to dot all the I's and cross all the T's. It would suggest that there's something there, which, we've all heard the various rumors, and boy, they're all over the place, from bags of cash to, it's nothing. But I thought it was interesting you bring in a guy who does have a little bit of history here at Tennessee as well. Anything else this week stand out about the fact that Jeremy Pruitt's still your head coach? Anything else you've learned in terms of the investigation? I'm just opening the floor
From my
here.
perspective, what I was told by a number of people, that the UT compliance had basically kind of stepped away during the holidays, and I
Yeah.
was told consistently before Christmas, nothing is going to happen with Pruitt until, if it does happen, until into the first week or two of January. So I'm not surprised that Tennessee's not said anything publicly at this point. That's what I had been told before Christmas. I don't know if anybody else had anything different, but that's what I had
No,
been
I'm
told.
just,
No,
I'm
and-
just
and-
asking if anybody's heard anything else on the scuttlebutt rumor thing that they want to go with here.
No, and for what it's worth, I can tell you the NCAA is not involved
No.
at all in this
No, we've
point.
said that.
We found that out officially this week. So, the $1 million question is, what does this mean for Pruitt? And fans don't want to hear it. They're frustrated. They want answers. There just aren't any right now because this investigation, we're not getting daily briefings. It's like we don't know what exactly they're going to find or what the findings will be and who's going to be responsible, but it's not good if you're Jeremy Pruitt, that's for sure.
That question might be worth more than $1 million.
Yeah, you might, like a roughly $12 million question. if
Well,
we're
and
being,
Josh, the thing is,
frank.
if this would have a totally different murmur factor. The volume of murmur would be a lot lower if Tennessee had just won a bowl game to finish off an 8-3 season or even a 7-4 season. The fact that you have so many fans that want to make a change, they're all sitting there, where's the investigation? Come on, find something on this guy. Which it would have been 100 degrees the other way, 180 degrees the other way if they had a good year. People would be saying, leave him alone. What is this? You're digging for nothing.
Yeah,
Well,
exactly. What is it that you're actually rooting for in the end? And it's just not a healthy situation when you have a percentage of the fan base. What percentage, I don't know. But there is a noticeable amount of fans that are hoping something bad comes from this investigation so that it negatively affects Jeremy Pruitt and his coaching staff. When I would also add that it's never good for your university if you find a lot of bad stuff in an investigation that affects NCAA rules.
Well, especially if the dream candidate that so many people want is Hugh Freeze. I mean, the idea, I had that conversation with somebody this week that was asking me, why wouldn't they go get Hugh Freeze? And I pointed out, well, there should be, even though you've had turnover there at that school, there should be some institutional memory. So let's look, you would be firing a guy for cause or involvement due to NCAA issues would have somehow be involved in his ouster. Whether you get him for cause and save all your money or not, that would be involved. So you'd then go out and bring in a guy who was fired from his last job for NCAA issues. That seems like UT probably wouldn't go in that direction. Also, look at the last 2 times Tennessee has hired someone with a checkered past. Blew up in their face with Bruce Pearl, blew up in their face with Donnie Tyndall. I think that if you're sitting there saying, oh, I hope it's NCAA issues and we get rid of Pruitt so we can get Freeze, that seems doubtful to me. Never say never, but if the end game is Hugh Freeze, I don't know that Pruitt being ousted on NCAA issues helps that cause at all.
No, I'm in your camp. I would be very surprised if Tennessee hires Hugh Freeze.
Yeah.
I'd be mildly surprised, but I think too, as far as the investigation wholly and how fans are sort of feeling about it and rooting for it, again, speculation on our part. If Tennessee is 7-3 versus 3-7, is this investigation happening? If I'm reading the tea leaves, I'm saying no, I don't think it is. And so, again, not a good sign for Jeremy Pruitt for your future.
Agreed. All right. When we come back, the University of Texas, that other UT, they fired their coach, and he had a better record than Jeremy Pruitt. They went out and they hired Steve Sarkisian. Well, that's a sure thing. But they hired Steve Sarkisian, so you got a lot of people saying, this UT isn't as committed to winning as that UT. Is that the case? We'll discuss that next on the Sports Source.